Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a story that's been buried, in some cases for over a century. We're talking about a history of official secrets, from devastating plagues all the way to modern pandemics. You hear this all the time, right? But is this idea of a cover-up just a modern conspiracy theory? Or is there a documented playbook for how to control information during a health crisis? Well, let's just say this strategy wasn't written yesterday. It's time to trace it back.
So what we're about to do is uncover a pattern, a set of moves, of tactics that institutions seem to turn to again and again and again when a crisis hits. And no, this isn't a theory. This is a playbook, and it's written in the pages of history.
Our journey is going to take us through 4 huge moments that happened before COVID-19 even existed. We're going to see wartime censorship, a total fiasco built on hype, deadly delays in action, and an outright cover-up. Each one is like a different page from the same playbook. So, let's start at the beginning, 1918. Okay, picture this. It's 1918. The entire world is deep in World War I. For governments in the US, the UK, France, Germany, the #1 priority wasn't stopping some virus, it was winning the war. And winning the war meant controlling the story, using one very powerful tool, censorship. So this was the official line. Publicly, you had top officials like the US Surgeon General literally telling people it was just the ordinary flu. But behind closed doors, they knew the terrifying truth as this new virus was just silently tearing through the population. And the result of all that downplaying, all that censorship? This number, an estimated 50 million deaths worldwide. It's a staggering, almost unimaginable number. There's a reason they call it the forgotten pandemic, because it was so effectively suppressed at the time. Okay, now let's fast forward to 1976. The playbook gets a new page. The tactic here wasn't censorship, it was complete and total overreach. The swine flu fiasco wasn't about hiding a pandemic, it was basically about inventing one. And in the process, it absolutely shattered public trust for generations. So, check out this chain of events. It starts with one single, pretty small outbreak at a military base. That sparks this panicked, massive national vaccine campaign. The promised pandemic? It never even showed up. But the vaccine, which was rushed into production, caused serious side effects and even killed dozens of people. A total fiasco. Next, we go to the 1980s and the absolutely heartbreaking story of HIV and AIDS. This chapter of the playbook is all about something way more insidious than a direct lie. It was defined by deadly silence and fatally delayed action. Now, while all this wild disinformation was flying around, like the KGB's Operation Infection, which was a whole campaign to blame the US, the documented reality was actually far more tragic. The real damage, the thing that cost hundreds of thousands of lives, was the institutional inaction and the refusal to even address the crisis head-on. And that brings us to the most direct prelude to our modern era, the 2003 SARS outbreak. This time, the playbook was run with frightening efficiency by the Chinese government, and it combined secrecy with active, aggressive suppression. The tactics were just chillingly familiar, weren't they? They hid the outbreak for months. They silenced the doctors and whistleblowers who tried to warn everyone. They literally denied the World Health Organization access, and they covered up lab leaks that helped it spread globally. I mean, this was the playbook, executed right out in the open. So this is the big question, right? Why? Why do powerful institutions keep falling back on this same playbook of secrecy time and time again? Well, it turns out the motives are surprisingly consistent throughout all of history. It's almost always the same list of reasons. You've got protecting morale during a war, saving political face, protecting economic interests, or just this condescending belief that the public can't handle the truth. But whatever the motive, public safety always seems to take a back seat to controlling the narrative. Now, it's really easy to hear all of this and think, okay, this is starting to sound like a conspiracy theory. So let's stop for a second and be crystal clear. We need to separate the documented, proven history from the myths. The first big myth is that cover-ups are just talk. The reality, this isn't based on some internet forum speculation. It's built on declassified government files, official WHO reports, and the sworn testimony of the people who were actually there. This is documented history. And the second myth is that, these were all just one-off mistakes. But as we've just seen, when you lay out the timeline, a really clear pattern emerges. The exact same tactics, silencing doctors, downplaying the threat, they show up again and again. You guys, that's not an accident. That's a playbook. So, what's the point of all this? Why does digging up this old history matter now? Well, because understanding this playbook is the absolute first step toward making sure it isn't used against us again. So let's clearly define what we're talking about here. The historical playbook. It's this reoccurring set of tactics. Its goal is always information control. And tragically, that goal often comes at the direct expense of public health and public safety.
And the consequences? I mean, they couldn't be more real. Every single time this playbook gets used, it destroys public trust, which makes it that much harder to handle the next crisis. And most importantly, it leads to deaths. Deaths that could have and should have been prevented.
So how do we break this cycle? It all starts with us, with learning to think more critically. So step 1, always try to go to the primary sources, the declassified documents, the official reports. Step 2, cross-check the official story with what independent journalists are reporting. And step 3, learn to spot the patterns. You have to ask yourself, who benefits when the truth is hidden?
In the end, it really all comes down to this one simple idea. History has laid it all out for us. It has shown us the playbook, the moves, the motives, and the absolutely devastating consequences. The only question left is, will we be smart enough to recognize the play the next time it's run?